What's up, everyone? I got something special here for you today. I'm putting together my little single jingle Tisas. I just got it back from getting Cerakoted. I did lightning cuts on the slide. I put just the 3 ports in the barrel, and we're gonna put this together. This is gonna be unedited. I don't know how long this video will be. Obviously, once I get it together, after the video, I'm gonna have to take everything back apart. There's some places that Cerakote shouldn't be on, you know, the slides and down here and stuff like that. So I just got this back from the coder. So without further ado, I might be all over the place. I might be on camera. I might be off, just because I'm going to do this real time, unedited, so that you guys can see how to completely build or assemble your 1911 double stack, single stack. They're pretty much the same, minus the grip module. But I mean, other than the plunger tube, this is as bare as you can pretty much get. Now, before I sent this off to coating, Tisas already kind of does a little undercoat. I just kind of blended it a little bit more, just kind of went down a little bit. I also blended the grip safety with the frame, sanded that guy all down, and you'll see as it goes together. So first things first, let's get the ejector in. So that guy is going to go right up there. Press that down. And then it is a tiny little pin. It is super, super small. And let's see, is there one side that's... Nope. So that is going to go in this little hole right here. Get that started. Take a punch. Don't ask me what size. This size looked good. Smaller punch, and you just want to get it down to where it's just slightly recessed. And I mean, seriously guys, to put a whole gun together, a couple punches, screwdriver. We'll talk about this guy, a little screw. Talk about that in a minute. Little trick that I use to get the hammer strut on the hammer with the little pin. Okay, so we got that guy done. Moving on. Let's install our grip screw bushings. A lot of people thread lock these, but I tinker with my guns so much. That's yeah, that would just be a bad idea. The screwdriver's garbage. More better one. All right, 1. How's everyone's day? Don't all speak up at once. Now I have the screws that go in. I've got some like stainless steel screws coming. I started polishing these because I was bored while the Cerakote was getting done. But I do have some chromey screws coming, some polished stainless ones or whatever. Like, these are just black, and I started polishing those, but they're cheap. You can find them anywhere. eBay, the Jungle website, Amazon, whatever. Mag release. This guy, just screw goes in like that. Get a little screw like this. Just pushes in, and don't do that. Trying to make sure I get it on camera. Pushes in and turns counterclockwise. Just like so. So it just gets captured in that little hook. Little dab will do ya. Alright, that's assembled. Let's do the mainspring. Now, a lot of people, they seem to have problems with the mainspring. I have a little trick that I do. Now, whenever I do mainsprings, because these are so far away from like the bullets being fired and stuff like that, I will use some type of grease in these because they're never going to get carboned up. It's so far away from the firing pin and all the, you know, explosions happening. These almost never get carboned up. And then you have your main spring. This is an 18-pound. Factory one was stupid heavy. And then I polished all of this stuff beforehand, and I'll take this gun completely back apart after this and polish spots that the Cerakote just doesn't need to be. And so this guy is going to sit up there. So now a lot of people put them in a vise or whatever. Let's see, which pin is it? It's this guy right here. So what I like to do is take it, just insert it a little bit, and then push down on my thumb so it's recessed, so it can't, I'm not pushing it in. This top part of the plunger can go all the way in, and then just get this, push it down, and boom, just like that. Simple, easy to do. And get some more of this greasy grease in here. Okay, so now the main spring housing is together and dirty. Silver was probably a bad color. All right, now let's do the hammer and the hammer strut. A little tricky trick. So what I do, I don't know if you guys have ever seen one of this. I think it's called a 2x4. Yeah. This little pin goes right in this, right there. And then the hammer strut goes right here. Well, they're an absolute nightmare to get started. Every time you push on it, the hammer does this, and then it does that, and then it does the hokey pokey. Get this guy. Actually, I don't want to mess up my Cerakote. Don't judge. Voila. Redneck vise. And then get your hammer strut in there. Like that. And these are a pain in the butt to get started. Like I said, you gotta kind of, I'm gonna have to use my third hand. You just gotta kind of wiggle it around and see where it will start. There we go, got it. See, no problem at all. And then don't ask me what size pick it is, it's just, it works. Punch. Little bit recessed, and I'm not tightening this thing down, it's just loose, it's just to hold it from doing the wiggle. Look at that, installed. No scratches. Good to go. Done with you. All right, hammer's assembled. Let's see, what else we got? Well, I guess we'll just put the trigger in. Now, I don't like to oil the trigger bars. This is like what I was talking about earlier with the mainspring. You're fine putting, you know, your grease or whatever. In fact, sometimes I even like to just put a little dab of oil in there, just to kind of mix with the goo. That's okay. I don't like to oil these because carbon gets down and it'll gum up the works. So I polish this trigger bow. Looks pretty nice. And I just run them dry. We'll get this guy in there like that. And you want your trigger, if you're setting it like this, you want it to just move freely and not have a lot of wiggle. You can, they sell tools, Brownell sells, I mean, everything. You can bend these out, just be really careful, you don't go too far. But you basically just want it to where, when you have, I just like to rest my finger just really lightly right there, and then just make sure it's not, you know, wiggling around. Like there's a little bit, I guess it needs to be, but it's not, you know, like flopping around like crazy, but just a little bit of wiggle. And there's millions of YouTube videos and techniques how to do trigger bows. Atlas has great stuff. You can bend the trigger down on the trigger bow to take up some slack. This is just a fusion one. I mean, this is like with all my guns. They're the budget guns. I like them because it makes something great. Okay, so we got that in. Now we'll put the mag release. So that just slides in right there, and then once you get it in, you're going to push it out just a little bit and put a little pressure turning clockwise on that screw, and you'll kind of feel it where it'll start turning and then snap. It'll just turn right in. Don't push it all the way out, and if you're getting resistance, stop, because you'll mess that screw up. So just kind of push it in and out, in and out, in and out while you're putting a little bit of turn clockwise on that screw, and then you'll feel it just kind of pop in. Yeah, this thing is gritty. It is. I got to get some of that Cerakote. I'll work it off. Like even the slide going on. I know Cerakote's not the best, but it's cheap, and this is a cheap gun, and I'm broke. So next, I guess we could probably start putting all of the parts in. So the sear has been polished. I got the proper angle on it. And your disconnector. So now on the sear spring, what I like to do is polish a bevel. See, how the sear spring works is this controls your sear, right? This controls the reset of the trigger. So when you pull it, hammer falls, and then it pushes your finger back. That's what this is going to do. I like to push these forward because I really like a positive reset. And then this is your grip safety. So what I like to do is kind of polish a bevel on the sear spring. You can literally start with, you know, 220 grit, go up to 400 grit, go up to 800 grit, go up to 1,000 grit, and then go up to 3,000 grit. I mean, it's easy. And you just basically, I like to put it on something like the edge of the table, so I'm not, you know, hitting the sear part of the sear spring, and then just kind of put it at an angle and just slowly wear it down, so that because when this disconnector, when the slide comes back, it's pushing this, so it's keeping the disconnector up, but then it slides down this. So when you release your trigger and you hear that click, that's this thing going up, and the sear is going back onto the hammer. So by putting that little bevel on there, so it's not like a 90 degree. So when they come factory, it looks, you know, just like this. And that thing is just rubbing on it like that. So you just want that little tiny bevel right there so that it just glides up and down that. And polish all this stuff, polish all of that, and polish the top where it slides up in and down the frame. So when you hear people say, you know, I'm getting caught up on the disconnector, chances are it's probably your sear spring. Just put that little bevel on it right there, and trust me, it'll help a lot. So how the sear spring, or how the sear and the disconnector go, is you're going to take it like this, and then this guy is going to set right there, just like that. And so when you hear that click, that's that sear reconnecting down, and then it comes up. And then the sear spring sits like this. So what I like to do is just take both of those guys right there, and it helps if you push the trigger back. Push the trigger back and just slide it in just like that. And then take, don't ask me what size it works, slide this guy through. Man, this is hard with the camera in the way. I see what people talk about. And then I like to poke it through like that. Take your sear pin, and then we'll start this guy through. Voila. Now when you're putting your sear spring in, you need to make sure that the sear is forward and the disconnector, let's see if I can get it better shot. So you want the sear forward and the disconnector up. A lot of people, so it's sitting like that. If it's sitting like that and you put that sear spring in, you're going to have a dead trigger. So the sear needs to be pushed forward, push the disconnector up as far as it can, and then rest that sear on it like that. If you put the gun back together and you have no trigger, that means the gun's not going to go bangy bangy. So you can put that guy in. Take our oil on a 1776 duck. He's from the South, and he calls it oil. And if you think about it, I mean, I'm from Utah, and we say oil, but it's oil. It's how it's made to be said. So we'll get that all lubed up. Take your sear spring, and make sure that disconnector is up all the way, and you're going to place this guy right there. And then what I like to do is just take the mainspring, and then just rest it. You don't have to push it all the way up. That's just going to hold the sear spring on so that nothing moves. So everything just keeps aligned, just puts pressure on that sear spring. So now that that guy's all installed, we'll take our hammer, little looby lube. I like to go underneath so you don't smear your oil everywhere. Slide that guy up. We'll take our hammer pin. Put our hammer pin in, and we're putting our hammer pin in, and we're putting our hammer pin in, and then slide this guy back down. Make sure the hammer's down, otherwise you're going to have resistance, because you'll hear it. It'll hit that sear. It's already ready to go bang. So line that sear up. I like to kind of hold it flat like that, and then just push down, and it will push that mainspring up. And now with that mainspring up, it's lined up right here. A lot of these mainspring pins, they'll have a dimple, and I'll show you what that's for. You use your punch. Don't ask me what size it works. And it's kind of beveled, so it'll kind of just work itself in, but don't force it. New guns are going to be difficult just because I've taken this gun apart so many freaking times, it's stupid. So make sure that all of your pins and everything are in. We'll cock it. It works. Do not let the hammer drop on your frame. It will destroy your frame, and this is an aluminum frame. Hold it. Check functionality. One click. That's your safety. And there we go. Click. Pull it down. Check functionality. Everything works. All right, now we can continue. Go ahead and take our grip safety and just kind of slide. You can kind of work it in like that. A lot of the newer ones will have this cut right there. So this is a 220 radius. like Staccato, Prodigy, Live Free Armory, the Apollos, they're a 250 radius. And so you'll notice that this part will come in further. I like the 220s just because obviously it's completely, you know, blended right here. It's just a lot more comfortable on your hand, but you know, tomato, tomato. So that guy just slides in. Now we'll take our plunger tube, or our plunger, this thing. And you notice one end is beveled and the other end is not. The beveled end goes right in there, but we need lubie. We need lubie. Thumb safety. Now to put the thumb safety in, the hammer has to be cocked. So 1 click, 2 click. Push that guy in, and these are kind of a pain. What you have to do is kind of wiggle it around. I have a plastic thing. I don't know where it is. Just be careful, but you have to push in on this little plunger right here without scratching your brand new Cerakote job. And boom, snappy, snappy. Goes right in. Then take your other side, and it'll just snap right in. If you have a 2011, you have to put this side in first, because this side will slide into the grip module. But do the shaky shaky, and it will pop in, just like that. Check functionality. And it'll feel sloppy right now because your slide stop isn't in pushing on that plunger tube spring. So that's all done. Moving along. What do we got next? Well, that's pretty much it. I guess we can put the grips on. Yeah, these guns are not hard. They're very simple. Just take some apart. You're not going to break anything. I mean, this is 2025. You have more information on the device you're watching this with than I did when I was in my early teens and early 20s. I'm a car guy, and I had to wait until the next month came out to see the build, or if I wanted to work on something and I needed answers. I mean, this was right when forums were kind of getting big. Anything you want to know, Google's. The silver's going to be fun. And there's a lot of things that I would lube a little bit more bestest. But like I said, I'm going to have to take this thing all back apart. This is to show you. So these go German, which is Guten tight. But not too tight. I actually use anti-seize. People, like I said earlier, people use thread lock. No, anti-seize it's like a paste, that silver stuff that if you even look at the can, you're the color of this gun. I like it because after it kind of dries out, it obviously it's not good for like optics and stuff, but it holds the screw. It helps absorb the vibration. When the screws are dry, that's when they wiggle and then they back out. So I actually put anti-seize on these, and I've never had one loose, but you know, personal preference. Oh, and of course I was wondering why this one felt squishy. Make sure your safety's down, so it goes in that little groove on your, if you have an ambi. I took the ambi off on this one, and oh, it is so, it's clear. It's just so much better, and when my grip is high, it's not hitting my finger right there. It may not look the best, but I like to have my hand extremely high on the gun, and I hate when the safety always hits me on that side. Oh, and I forgot to mention in the beginning of this video, this gun is safety checked. Now we have a complete lower. She works. Put that guy over there. Barrel. Or not barrel. Slide. Come on, coffee. I already did the shave right here, so you kind of put a little bit of angle on it, so as the bullet's feeding in, just kind of helps. It gives it a more of a fighting chance to get around that hook. So as the shell or the round is hitting that feed ramp and going up into the barrel, it needs to hook right here. So if that's just a 90-degree, you know, just give it all you can to cycle properly, and then when it's in the gun, it hooks like that, and then it extracts the shell casing. So I already did the bevel on this. I'm gonna have to sand that all down and polish her up, but I like to put a little bit of oil on that part right there. That's it. That's all you need. And then put it in backwards, and then once you get to this part, rotate it 180 and then snap it in. And then take this punch, don't ask me what size, it works, and then level this part out, because the firing pin stop slides in that groove like that. Do not oil these. Again, that carbon thing, all that schmutz gets caught up in here, and then you have draggy. You want it free floating, so I just like to do a little polish right there and then run it dry. Don't put any oil in here. These aren't Glocks. We'll put that guy in. Now be careful with these. You'll shoot your eye out, because these are under spring tension. So I like to get the firing pin stop started. Then we'll take our punch. You gotta kind of wiggle and jiggle, because it has to go through that little hole, the channel in there. And then, of course, this one's gonna fight me. If I wasn't filming, it would just drop right in. There we go. And then I push up, and then so it's retaining on that part, and then push it all the way in. Keep pressure on the firing pin stop. You're home. The slide is assembled. That's it. So we'll take our barrel, or our slide, and our oil. I like to lube right up here in the locking block area. Put down your link. Slide her in. And then I like to oil the link right there just a little bit, not a whole lot, but just a little bit, and then I like to oil where the slide stop goes. And then I also like to put just a dab of oil right here, because this is where your guide rod is going to sit. Put your link forward, and the easiest way to assemble it is upside down. So keep your barrel like that. A little bit of oil. Oil. Take your frame. Oil. Even Bill Wilson from Wilson Combat says if oil isn't dripping back out of here, your gun is not oiled. And these are not Glocks. Do not use grease. Gun butter is okay. It's just Glocks and SIGs and striker fire, plastic polymer, Rubbermaid guns. Their tolerances are, I mean, no offense, but they're junk. But that's why they cycle so well. A loose gun will cycle better because it's not so tight. You know, like staccatos, they're very, very tight, and they need a lot of oil to run. So I like the Lucas gun oil. You can use any gun oil, just not super thick grease. So now here's what I like to do is just kind of put my finger right here to hold that link, and then do it upside down. Because what that's going to do is that's going to keep that link right where you want it. Man, this thing is going to take some time. And then if you look in that little hole, see how it's coming back, and see that link move? You might have to get your punch. Don't ask me what size it works. Put your key in. Now don't get the idiot scratch, okay? So don't start down here and then force it up. Leave it out a little bit. Put it right there. Cock your hammer. Pull your slide back. Get it up to about that spot. And there you go. You send her home. Man, this thing is going to be tight like a tiger. And then we'll get our barrel bushing. And that guy goes in right there, and then you spinny that way. And you get your recoil spring. Push it on down. That is a full, complete assembly of a 1911 A1. Function check. Man, this trigger is really good. Get some of that oil worked in there. See that? That's all Cerakote, and that's one downfall to Cerakote. My optic should be here tomorrow. I'll get that all put on, but I already put the front sight on. I just use one of these jungle website. They're 40 bucks and they're a pain in the butt, and they're kind of a piece of crap. You can buy a nice one, but I'm an amateur. I'm not a gunsmith. Just press that on. I put some red Loctite in there. So this is a Fusion firearms. If you have a Tisas or a Gerson or most 1911s with the slide that, you know, the A1 slide. This is the 180 radius. They have other ones that are kind of like this, but they have to be fitted, so they're just like a block. And I mean, it just depends. Like if you did a triangle cut, like the where you cut down the slide and then cut the top flat and then cut down the slide, that would be something like this. And then you would file it down once it's on the gun. But if you get the 180 radius, then to fit these, I just get some sandpaper, because they come, nothing on 1911s will just go in unless it's maybe a recoil spring on a command or on a government style. And then all you basically do to fit it is you want it to where when they always go in, so the angle, the side that the shells eject is the side you're going to push it off and then push the new one on. So always remember that. The way that the shell casings come out, push it off that way, push it back on that way. So if you go to put it on, what you want to do is you want to get it into where it goes about a quarter of the way on by hand. So if you can put your finger on it and pop it off and then slide it in by hand, that's where you want it. But when you get it, it's not going to fit. So what you do is you basically just sand it down until this is completely flat. So what you're doing is, you see how it's beveled. So you're sanding it down this way, which is lowering the tolerance of that bevel. And so once you keep sanding, and then once you can fit it on about a quarter of the way, get you some of that red Loctite stuffy stuff, and then send her home with the sight pusher tool. And that 180 radius will give you that flush, custom fitted coolness. And that is it. That is a full assembly of a 1911 A1. Yeah, those bevels look good. Man, this gun is going to be difficult to keep clean. All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or you want to make fun of me or whatever, I don't know what I'm doing. I just work here. Let me know in the comments. I appreciate it. Let me know what you think of the little single jingle Cerakote job and the porting and the RMSC cut. You can find me on Facebook, Salt City Machining. You can find us on the Instagrams and we are in Salt Lake City, Utah. If you want to send us your slides, we'd be more than happy to do RMSC, RMR cuts. We can cut your barrel. I got my Tisas, got the old V8, American, port job, and then this is that same gun. So this is the Stingray, so this kind of gives you an idea, but that's the Lord's caliber. And screw you, Tisas, do not sell a 4 1/4 45 ACP with an aluminum frame. This gun kicks so, I shouldn't say so hard, I'm over exaggerating. It's not fun, okay? It's not pleasurable to shoot. It was one of my first 1911s I ever got, and I've enjoyed taking it apart. I'm not going to feel bad if I scratch something, if I ding something, if I dent something. $550 an investment of how much I've learned is, you can't. I mean, I'd buy 5 more. But yeah, for a 45, weapons check clear. But I mean, I've done a lot to this gun. I crushed the slide, fit it to the frame. There's like almost no slop in it. I did some trigger job, all that stuff. But in an aluminum frame, a 45 ACP, this, I mean, it just kicks. It's not fun. It's reliable. I had to do a Wilson Combat extractor, a Wilson Combat firing pin stop, just a few other things to get it to run. If you watch a lot of YouTube videos on the Stingray, they're always going to complain that it gets jammed on the last round. And what's happening is Tisas' firing pin stop. So even on my DS, watch, I'll be able to wiggle this thing around with my finger. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, see that? Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Remember that little slit I was talking about that holds this? If you dry fire your gun, you'll watch your extractor move around. So like I was talking earlier, it's that hook that hooks on the shell casing. So if that extractor is moving around because that firing pin stop wiggles, and I have a short video on YouTube about me feeding this, how a 1911, you can find it on my channel, how a 1911 should feed. And I can go this slow and it pops right up off the magazine and slides right in. So a lot of people that are having failure to feed problems, it could be your firing pin stop. You can buy them Wilson Combat, buy the oversized ones, they're $15. And same way as with the sights, you just put some sandpaper down, file it down, thin it out until you can get it to slide up with the extractor out, file it down, make sure that the extractor slot fits that. And then once you get it in, this thing I mean, I really had to push it up to get it in, and it solved all the feeding problems, the last failure to feed, because now that hook on the extractor, it's not spinning around. I can watch I have one for Wilson Combat coming for the DS, but if you dry fire it enough, I don't know if I can catch it on camera, but watch this. You might be able to see it move around a little bit. Sometimes you can, it just depends on the angle. But I know for certainly if you dry fire your Tisas, you watch that firing pin stop and you'll see it wiggle around. They're easy to fit. Fusion Firearms has a million videos on how to do it. Like I said earlier, it's 2025. Everything you want to know is on the YouTubes. Just type it in, 1911 firing pin stop, how to fit it. Easy, sandpaper. You don't need special fancy tools. Try it. I mean, you're not going to mess anything up, and if you do, they're cheap. They're $12. Buy a new one. Learn. It's fun, especially when you don't have to pay a gunsmith to literally do what I just did. I don't even know what gunsmiths charge because I am my own warranty. All right, guys, rambling on now. Take care. Thanks for all the new subscribers. I appreciate it. If you guys have any more ideas or you're appreciating the content, let me know. Thank you.